Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here today. This is actually the fourth time I've participated in the Santa Clarita Conference for Artists, and I have loved seeing it grow and evolve, so yeah, it's really, really wonderful. So yeah, my name is Mitra Lena Klein. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, and I founded my studio, which is really more of a design studio, in 2011. And I offer creative services to clients through that. So I wanted to, form this presentation to really focus on mastering the fundamentals. And my goal for the next 20, 30 minutes is to help you identify the opportunities that are available and encourage you to really connect with established professionals that are here for guidance and support. So whether you're a musician, a dancer, a filmmaker, or a writer, or any other type of creative, your business will be developing relationships with banks, accountants, lawyers, insurance providers, investors, designers like me, and so on. All of us are invested in the success of whatever entrepreneurial venture you decide to launch. So my business coach, Bob, helped me through the most challenging situations. And this is one thing that I suggest, that you find at least one person, like a mentor or a business coach, to get you started. And I have these pictures up here of masks that I made with children. And I like to remind us all that the courage of a creative child is a great energy to embody whenever you're embarking on something new. Right? We don't know what's coming up ahead, and they don't know what they're creating, they're just having fun. So here today, let's just try and have fun, enjoy ourselves, and embody that creative courage of a child. So that being the case, I need to tell you a little bit about myself and my past and my childhood. And it starts here when I was 8 years old, and you get a sense of what I was like as a child. I think I have a leopard print on here. I'm walking to the beach with my dad, my little brother, and the girl from next door. And we, like so many other people, had no idea that we would soon lose our homes in a fire. So, natural disasters are the kind of life events that profoundly influence people. And for sure, I was absolutely no exception to that. So I think what's important to talk about is the fact that even though our home was rebuilt within a couple of years, it really took me decades of digging and excavating to uncover and reconstruct the unseen things that were lost, because it's not just a home, right? It's a sense of place and safety in the world. And I know that this kind of experience is one that's shared by many. And for those of you who have not lost a home, I'm sure that you have supported friends or family that have gone through this experience. So, as it profoundly affected me, what ended up happening in the days and months that followed is that I received support from so many different people, including, programs that the city provided, that the school provided, and at some point I started keeping scrapbooks and sketchbooks, and what I did was cut out newspaper articles and write comments expressing concern about other disasters affecting people. And these photos here are from the 1995 floods in Santa Barbara. So basically, art became a means for me to channel all my emotions. And obviously I was feeding them, so I had lots and lots of emotions. And so I was kind of, very much so in the art track. I attended the California State Summer School for the Arts at CalArts as an incoming high school freshman. I was the youngest person to ever attend at that time. I started taking art classes at Santa Barbara City's College as an incoming ninth grader in high school, which they don't allow you to do anymore for kind of obvious reasons, but back then they hadn't figured it out yet. I spent my junior year as an AFS student in Italy, where I learned to speak another language and I studied the arts. And then I got accepted a half tuition merit scholarship to the Kansas City Art Institute, where I got a BFA in painting. And then, at this like full circle moment, my professional career started at the age of 24 when I was hired to be an art director and a copy editor for the Santa Barbara News Press. You know, it's kind of interesting. And that's particularly surprising because I'm dyslexic. So this says two things. It says one thing about my talent, and it says another thing about the desperation of the news industry at that time, that a 24-year-old who was dyslexic was on the copy desk. If you know anything about the news industry, you'll understand. Okay, so my editor at the time at the paper knew that I was really fascinated with art vehicles. This was something that I became passionate in college, which my teacher said, hey, you know, art vehicles isn't really art, but I was like, I just love them, you know, whatever. Now it's like a thing, but so my editor introduced me to Burning Man. And this was one way that like, sort of like opportunity and transformation, because fire evolved from being a symbol of fear into one of just creative transformation. And actually my whole family ended up going regularly, year after year. So this is kind of like a sketch portrait of us. And for those who don't know, Burning Man is a global creative community, and they have an annual event that thrives in a challenging environment. And I think that it's really a community that understands what the art process is about. They expect the unexpected, and they embrace the unknown possibilities of what could happen, which really makes life feel expansive, right? We don't know what's going to happen, and we can get excited about that rather than fearful. So from my perspective now, what I'm trying to say is that the universe sort of foreshadows opportunities in strange ways. And you can look at your life, and this is why I'm sharing this specific story about fire in my childhood as an example of how life experience can impact our business goals and our work as artists. So now that you know a little bit about me, why I do what I do, my background, let's move on to the tips for you. And while I focus on these foundational lessons that I've learned, they're also helpful reminders for anyone in business at any point. They're intended to be supportive. You can use any combination that you think works for you at this moment. And yeah, there's a handout on the table. And the first 4 tips that we're going to look at all focus on this concept of resilience, because they're going to, this battery's running low. I don't know if anyone has a charger, but okay. So resilience is going to help smooth out the ups and downs that just come with part of the territory. Now, I've worked with international companies, big companies, entrepreneurs as a design creative, and I'm going to tell you that no matter where you are, it's always going to be ups and downs. And I've used some artwork from my mermaid type project, which is all about creating language. As a dyslexic, I'm kind of making up my own language here, to also illustrate the idea that we're all in this evolution. Things are evolving. So tip number 1 is about holding this very big vision for yourself. And it needs to be something that really inspires you and speaks to your heart. And this is a lesson I learned from actually doing something right. Sometimes I do things right. I created a feasibility plan with the SMART entrepreneurial training program that's offered by Women's Economic Ventures. And I did this 20 years ago. And this was my original vision. And this has been a guiding reference point for me throughout my entire career development. And it's been like this compelling North Star. Ultimately, what I learned is that there was a whole bunch of stuff I had to learn. Whatever your North Star is, whether it's exhibiting your work, learning a new technology, writing a book, reaching a new professional milestone, or, anything that's really whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. It's important to write it down. It's important to have something in your workspace, in your environment that can remind you what you're working for. And this is especially important when things get really difficult or tedious. Absolutely. I mean, I do it a lot now. So there are many ways to approach goal setting, and I really want to kind of drive home this point that sometimes something can only be expressed through art. That's what we're all good at. So hopefully everyone in this room understands that sometimes things can only truly be represented through art. And I have a quote here from Helen Keller, who said that the best and most beautiful things in this world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And so I believe this is absolutely true, that a heartfelt goal is a powerful one. So I invite you to reflect back on a time in your life when you faced a significant setback, whether it was personal, professional, or creative, and consider what it was that guided your direction in moving forward. Was it a person, a belief, a vision for your work? And it's okay if you don't really have a clear answer. We're going to explore a little bit more the themes of resilience in our creative lives. And by resilience, I mean the ability to bounce back, to try again, or to start on a new path. Not to be too intense to start, but our work is intense as artists. It's very personal. So tip number 2 is to have something to look forward to. I think it's just kind of interesting that we're having all these winning raffle tickets today. So this one is about how life and work-life balance is really essential. And sometimes it can be challenging to separate the two. So in the world of work, I like to bring this idea of continuous improvement. It seems to satisfy the artist in me that's a little bit of a perfectionist. So I lean into that, continuous improvement. And as we go through these questions, I challenge you to also discern between when you're making a real business goal and when you're making a personal goal. So putting an activity, an event, or a milestone on your calendar, no matter how far off, is going to help you keep motivated on the day-to-day. I've been looking forward to this event for quite a while. I think this is an amazing opportunity. Like I said, I keep coming back. This is really something special that Santa Clarita does for its creative community. So you might plan studio visits, a weekend adventure. You might just want to chat with your friends online or go out to coffee. And that's the question for you. What are you looking forward to? What's on your calendar? Number 3, and this is the Empress here, is to celebrate every win. Recognize that you are abundant. Whether it's a big or small win, you need to celebrate. I think this is really important. It's key. Number 3 is key. When you're wrapped up in your work, whether it's doing a project or starting a new habit, it's really important to acknowledge it. And the reason that it's important to acknowledge it is that it's kind of like that song says, catch a falling star, put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. They say that progress compounds when you affirm your own momentum, so keep a visible record. Calendars are really great. I put all kinds of glittery stickers on my calendar when I'm having a hard time. I love the way that looks. Another person might like to have a jar and put coins in the jar. So every time you're doing something, you can see your work as adding to literal value in your life. And it's not just a checklist of things that you need to get done. So the question number 3 for you to consider is there something that you haven't acknowledged or celebrated? And can you do that today somehow? The 4th tip in the theme of resilience is to lean into community and teamwork, and you're all doing that here today. No one thrives alone, so maintaining regular connections with your peers, your friends, and your creatives and your mentors will magnify your progress and help you keep your outlook positive as well. At its best, community support is providing honest feedback, encouragement, and also new perspectives. Sometimes others see things that we don't. And building community, you can attend conferences like today, or you can join a group project, volunteer, always people online, celebrate them, let them celebrate you, and your journey will definitely be richer based on that. In that vein, artist communities, and we've heard a little bit about this today, artist communities have been recognized as effective catalysts for improving the value of impoverished areas, and governments frequently utilize creative resources, which is artists like us, our murals, our events, because everybody stands to gain significantly, and I mean financially, when it's done well as culturally. So art events contribute to the city's economy because people often spend money when they go to events. They go out to eat, they might go shopping, they spend money on parking, they might stay in a hotel. So, business is this ever-changing, complex environment, and really collaboration skills, in my mind, are absolutely essential for success. And today's conference is an example of how a city supports the arts and local businesses. And, today we're learning about that with the Small Business Development Center, ideas about grants, understanding copyrights, trademarks, intellectual property. And so, when you consider all the things that you could possibly learn, another question for you is, what do you want to learn? Who do you want to work with? What support do you need? Is there someone you can collaborate with this week? There's a theme here about kind of taking action and whatever inspires you. So I want to discuss a little bit more this idea of the government's involvement in business and community, because I see it as like a system of structures nested within other structures. And so you're supported, as an individual artist with you in the center by the city, the county, the state, and also the federal government. And when you're in business, every single level has something that they want from you, requirements, but also assistance. So, I've received guidance from an organization called SCORE, the Santa Barbara chapter, after going full-time in 2011. And then I also received support from the SBCD, and both of these organizations received support from the U.S. Small Business Administration, which is a federal organization that supports entrepreneurs and small businesses. So it's connected for the positive and for the negative. So, okay, we're halfway through the tips. We've gone through the resilience, and I'm just kind of curious with a show of hands, who feels like they really need to focus on their big goal? Whether they have a big goal? A few of you? Yeah. What's your North Star? The next one I'm curious about is who thinks that they need to schedule something to look forward to on the calendar? Yeah, okay. Who needs to celebrate their wins? Who has a hard time celebrating their wins? I see you. Me too. It's one of my challenges. And who's looking for someone to learn from or collaborate with? All right, look around. See, maybe hit up someone near you and just ask, well, what do you want to learn? Who do you want to collaborate with? All right, thank you. We'll move on to tip number 5. Yeah, so what I have found in doing mentoring and working with small business owners and creatives is that marketing is really challenging. So the last ones are kind of focused on marketing. And it's about learning to share authentically and incorporating sharing into your creative process. So, for example, in the handout, I have kind of listed in detail the lesson that I learned and coming up with why this ended up being one of my tips. I'm not going to go into all that detail, but it's written down if you're curious. So sharing is a form of marketing, and it's not about selling out. Okay, it's about inviting other people into your world and sharing the heart behind your work. And a lot of people like showing their progress, and ultimately it's about letting your personality shine, whether it's in person or online. And it's not just about promotional content, right? Something real. So like I shared real lessons learned. And maybe it's what inspired you, maybe it's your favorite material. And what they say is that vulnerability fosters genuine relationships, which is what we want, right? We want something real. And the right audience is going to support you because of who you are, not just because of what you create. And I think this is particularly true for people interested in the arts. We love to know all about the little details, we want to see the progression, and we want to know that we're contributing to someone develop over time. And this here is an image of me learning to stream online during COVID, and I do enjoy this now. And it's also this thing that I'm kind of interested in, where we're having in life and online, we have all these like virtual versions of ourselves now. And so the question is for you, what feels authentic? How are you going to invite people into your creative journey, into your creative experience? Number 6 is to use your voice. And this one is really important. It can mean your literal voice, like I'm speaking up here today, but it's really your artistic point of view. And knowing your rights as an artist is crucial in understanding the value of art. Because art has, as I know of today, it has legal protections and specific definitions. So we kind of need to know what these are in order to understand what the value of art really is in the business concept, how it is perceived in the business world. We have special opportunities that are not available to every other type of business. And so if you don't know, I think you've heard this probably in the other workshops, it's really important to collaborate and get to know lawyers or other professionals that can help you understand. And it is an important thing, especially right now. So, in general, every original artwork that you create is automatically protected, giving you the exclusive right to share it, publish it, or sell it. So just reiterating that learning the technical side is part of what it means to value your art. If you protect your work, others will see that, and you're more likely to keep your income and your work as secure as possible as your influence grows. So that's a good question for you to consider. What can you do to protect the rights of your unique voice and your art? Number 7 is about embracing technology, utilizing digital tools, and if you are new to it, there's so many opportunities for you, especially with AI. I have an art research project that I'm doing to help facilitate that, and I'll talk a little bit about it later. In this slide, you see me back in this place called Decentraland, which was a Web3 art museum. It was an interesting project to do during COVID. Now, I don't recommend following all the trends. I'm no longer like a fan of NFTs, but I did explore that world for a little bit. And it's important to do what's authentic to you. At the time, the group of people I was working with were a lot of fun, and then we just went in different directions. So, in other words, you need to tell a story that only you can tell, and make sure that you're defining what sets you apart. Being visible, being memorable, being in in-person locations, and being online. These can create opportunities for you. So I'm already at my final tip, number 8, and this is about connecting marketing with legacy arts and local community. And this is what I suggest because it's a lot easier for people to recognize what they already know about. If you're too original or too far out there, the amount of time, effort, and money you have to put into marketing is much higher. So, given that when you're starting out, it's helpful to kind of collaborate within more recognized or known genres and locations. For example, this is a picture of me with a couple student interns. that I was mentoring in a program called Arts for Humanity. And we're creating a chalk painting at the old Mission Santa Barbara, which is a very well-known location. And we are recreating an image by Marc Chagall. And Chagall is an artist who believed the actual subject of art was psychological, that it represented an internal reality. And so this also aligns with, my experiences of art and how it's internal experiences coming out or art impacting our internal experiences. So I believe that when we remix, when we share, when we honor traditions, and we pay tribute to the creators who have influenced us, our efforts can help foster connections that nourish future generations or people that are just new to the arts, The famous Swiss psychologist Carl Jung said, "There is no difference in principle between organic and psychic growth." So creativity is also not an instinct. It is not an optional gift granted to a lucky few. It is something that you really need to do. Creativity is an instinct. Creativity is an instinct. It's not a gift that a few of us have. If people don't find a way to express their creativity, they could end up being frustrated. It could leak out of them. They could, end up doing a lot of weird things. So it benefits you and it benefits society to express your creativity. Let's see, and encourage others as well. So this image was another one I did with students inspired by Diego Rivera. And, he is very much so known for engaging directly with political and social issues through his work, advocating for justice and transformation in society. And because of my experiences with natural disasters at a young age, it instilled in me a desire for a more balanced, nature-conscious society. And it comes out in my artwork and in my business choices, whether I want to acknowledge it or not. So knowing about it is helpful. Sometimes if we don't give a thing new life, then it will get lost in the darkness. So there is kind of like a mechanical aspect of just preserving creative legacy, just as photographs made artwork more accessible. Now new technology is really making it a whole other animal. So it's time to ask yourself that question, what places or artists have inspired you, and how can you pass that forward to the next generation? This is my unique take on the traditional plein air painting. It's a tiny little mobile bike studio, which I like to take on the road and to festivals. So I'm publicly utilizing solar power, people power. It's interactive, mixed media. There's a dash of performance and public art kind of thrown in. And it's not exactly the eco plan that I had 20 years ago, but all of the essential aspects and themes are still present today as they were back then when I really had no idea what I was talking about. Takes a lot of experience to really let all the lessons sink in. And today I'm sharing an art research project that I've started and that I've launched. It's called Santa Barbara Vibes, and you're welcome and invited to participate. It's on my website. I'd love to hear your thoughts about AI, and I'm using this card project as a way to facilitate a conversation about that. And this is a limited edition print series. There's only 50 of them. If you're interested, I brought a couple today. And I like to use cards as a way to keep creative ideas flowing. And I have like 250 decks that I've collected from a whole bunch of different artists. And that's pretty much my presentation. It's here coming to a close. I wanted to revisit the themes a little bit. It's about resilience. We dove into the fundamentals, which is setting goals, leveraging your resources, embracing technology, building community, and even more than that, what we discussed is how we have a chance to shape the culture of our time and leave a legacy for those who come after us. So I really encourage you to connect, meet your fellow artists, share your stories, explore the opportunities for collaboration, And continue to take advantage of the workshops, mentorships, and support systems that are right here in Santa Clarita. And most of all, remember that every act of creation begins with a leap of faith. Trust yourself, trust the process, and keep heading toward your North Star. Thank you. Are there any questions? Santa Barbara vibes, yeah. So 2 years ago, I used Midjourney to create like 190 different images and prompts. So it was Midjourney and ChatGPT, and I was just kind of curious of using it as an idea generating mechanism. Comes up with so many ideas so quickly. So I printed 190 decks, and then I went to different events where I was doing tarot readings with people. And what I found, which was very interesting, is that nobody noticed the extra fingers, or the extra toes, or the elbow coming out of the ear, or the earring coming out of the chin. And that was kind of surprising to me. And I just continue to have conversations about it. So the deck I created is a smaller amount. It's 77 cards, and I have kind of curated them and made them a little bit less freakish. And then online there's a digital version, so you can click and kind of have an interactive experience, get a card, have a fortune read to you. The prompt that's on the card was basically exactly what was used to create the image. So you can kind of get a sense of how text becomes image as you're looking through the cards. Some of them are very photorealistic, some of them are more illustrative, and yeah, you're welcome.